Welcome to Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Happy Monday, people. I'm Cary Quashen. I'm your host, but I don't host this show by myself, Michael. You know, I mean, there's been, before you, there's been Stephanie Weiss, which actually helped start the show.
Right.
After Stephanie, I believe, was Mary.
Okay.
And after Mary was Dell.
Dell.
Then there was Bob. And now there's Mike.
Hello.
And we've been on this show now, almost 13 years.
Did the rest of them just get up out of their chair and run out of the studio screaming and yelling?
I think you're the only one that could stand me that long. So thank you, Michael. Oh, congratulations.
Blessings upon you, sir.
And by the way, Families in Action is brought to you by your hometown station, AM 1220. And what can we say? 13 years almost. It's been great, and thank you so much for allowing us to give the message out there. And also by Action Family Counseling, which is alcohol and drug rehabilitation centers. We have everything from outpatient to residential treatment and everything in between. And the Action Foundation, I'm going to let you tell everybody about.
Cary, there's two things that I want to again mention about the Action Family Foundation that are so phenomenal. The free parent support group every Tuesday from 7 p.m. to 9 at Canyon High School, which you've been doing, as you said, forever and a day.
Well, it's Canyon High School for the past few years, but we've been doing that group now for 25 plus years.
There you go.
I mean, it was called Tough Love 25 or 30 years ago, and I was doing them then. And now it's called Action. So we've been doing this particular group in this valley for going on 30 years. Long time.
Wow. And that one is not just for teens. It's also a support group for parents, and it's free.
Well, we have a parent and teen group. When the teens are in that room, they're dealing with 3 counselors, and they're dealing with all kinds of different issues, from alcohol and drugs to self-esteem to school and family problems. The parents are actually dealing with how to empower themselves. And I really believe, you know, I've been doing this for an awful long time, and you don't help kids working with kids. You help kids empowering families. So the stronger parents can get, the more involved parents get, the better those kids get. So it's so important for a family member. If there's any kind of crisis, or you even have a gut feeling there's a problem with your kid, come to group. And again, the stronger you get, the better your kids will get.
And by the way, I want to mention this for our listeners out there in case they don't know.
Let's do something different today.
Okay.
Let's bring our guests in.
Sure.
And then we'll continue this conversation before we get to them so they can be part of this.
Okay.
Usually we kind of leave you guys out there. I don't want to do that anymore.
No, you know what? We have 2 folks with us today, and this is we are talking again about something we did just about 2 weeks ago. Isn't that right, Dan? About
Correct.
2 weeks ago. And we were talking about sexual abuse. And There's a very important conference coming up. So we have Dan Broyles from Grace Baptist, and you brought someone with you. This is Bob Lininger from North Park. And North Park's actually the one that's hosting this, correct?
Yes, we are. It'll be this Friday at 8:30 in the morning until 2:30 in the afternoon.
So this is going to be a very interesting conversation, and we want to, again, before we get started too far into this, just let parents know that if you've got a young one, we just want to let you know that we're going to be talking about a sexual abuse conference. We aren't going to say anything that's going to create a problem, but it's up to you as a parent.
Right.
Just so you know. What I was going to say, Cary,
and if it was me and I had my kids in the car, they'd be listening. Because I really believe that kids need to listen. We need to educate them as soon as they can understand what's going on. And we have a teachable moment, we need to use it. That's my belief. When is it too young to talk to your kids about that stuff? I don't believe ever. I really don't. If we start hardwiring our children when they're young, they can make better decisions later. Now, I was being interviewed by some national news thing on Friday, and they were saying, why are we having such a crisis? The answer is really simple when it comes to substance abuse and why kids are using drugs younger. The answer is simple. You know what? Think about it. Why are more kids using drugs than ever before? Why are they doing it when they're younger? What's the answer? Do you know?
Well, they're everywhere.
Drugs are everywhere.
And there's an awful lot of peer pressure out there.
And there's an awful lot of peer pressure. And listen to this one. The last thing our kids do, I have kids, the last thing they do when they go to sleep, what do you think the very last thing they do?
Check that social media.
Check that social media. Very last thing they do. So they're going to sleep with their friends. What is the first thing they do before they wake up?
Before they
wake up. Before they go to the bathroom. Before they even have any food. What is it?
Well, all they do is get one eye open. That's it. Just one eye open, and they go right
Barely.
for the social media.
So they're checking with their friends. So they go to sleep with their friends. They wake up with their friends. We walk out of, bless you, we walk out of our bedroom or whatever. They walk out of their bedroom, see us for about a minute in the morning. If we're there, we might be working. And they go right to school with who? Their friends again. And then they come home with who? Is anyone home? In most homes, no, right? So who's waiting for the kids? Their friends again, either in person or in social media. So peer pressure today is times 100 than it's ever been before. And the average parent, and Dan, we talked about this last time, the average parent spends between 2 and 10 minutes with their adolescent. 12 and up. How was your day? It was good. How was school? It was okay. Do you have any homework? I done it. Are you hungry? I ate. Right back to their bedroom. What are they doing? With their friends again. And we want to know why we're having a crisis with kids today. And I'm just going to take us on a sidetrack. There's 3 categories of children. And for parents that are listening, figure out which category yours is in. Number 1, no matter what kind of a father you are, your kid's a level-headed kid. He's going to go to school, kind of knows what he or she wants to do, is not going to get in trouble when his friends or her friends start smoking cigarettes or weed, they leave. There's that group of kids, right? The next category, no matter what kind of a mom and dad you are, they're what you call, they're high-risk kids. No matter what you do, they're going to get themselves in trouble. They're going to drink, smoke, drive fast, fight, whatever it is. The next category, and this is the largest category of children, are what you call the fence sitters. And what exactly does that mean? Peer pressure is going to do everything. So if we spend more time, all those corny sayings, families that pray together, families that eat together, families that play together, those kids do good. But those are the kids we're missing today. Those are the kids that are getting caught up in peer pressure and using drugs that would have never done it before because we don't spend enough time with them. So those fence sitters are going the different direction. I see you want to jump in.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, every teenager, even though they push their parents away, still longs for connection.
Yes.
So it's a mixed message of, I want my independence, but I want connection. But a lot of times I think parents they hear the pushing away, and so they completely back off, and which really gives more power to the friendships in that
what pushes them
adolescent's
there?
life.
They need something. That's why gangs are so popular, because
Absolutely.
there really is a family there.
Absolutely.
I was speaking to a relative today. His kid, they caught him smoking pot, and he's been grounded now for the last week, and he says, this kid's never been happier. I wonder why. Because he's hanging out with his mom and dad. He's never been happier. When we used to give our kids consequences and they were grounded and they were close to their mother and I, they were happier. So what they fight the most is what they need the most, what they crave the most. When kids are getting ready to leave our adolescent drug rehabs and we ask them, what are you going to miss the most? What do you think they say? The structure. Because it's safe. This, what they fight the most, is what they want the most.
And years later, they'll often come back and say, I complained about it, but I actually really liked it.
Of course. Well, yeah. I mean, they cry, they don't want to be there. When it comes time to leave, and they cry, they don't want to leave because it's safe. And the world's changed. Trust me, it's not like it used to be. There's a lot more drugs. It's a lot more serious. Social media is a wonderful thing. It's also could be a horrible thing when it comes to bullying and peer pressure and all kinds of stuff. It's different today than it was when we were growing up.
Well, I would even say, though, there's a false sense of connection online. Just because you connect online doesn't mean you're really connected.
Right.
And I think people really have this sense that we're connected, but really they're craving more deep, genuine relationships, whether it's family or friends, and that's not happening, which opens up the door for more substance abuse.
Yeah. And I was talking to somebody else, and we were on my Tuesday night group, and they were saying, well, I'm connected with my kid because I do what I have to do, which means I text them which is great. I mean, sometimes you have to go down to their level, and if the texting is what it is, it's going to work. But it's not the same as touch, as seeing somebody, as intimate conversations. It's different. So, yeah, I'm not saying it's bad, but we still have to have that connection with our children, because the kids that we're losing today are, again, the fence sitters. They're the ones that lots of parental involvement, family involvement, they're going to make good decisions. Little of that, they're going to make bad decisions.
I even think of my kids. We were swimming this weekend, and one of the top phrases in the pool was, look at me. And I don't think, my kids are in elementary school, but I don't think that changes when they're adolescents. They still want to be noticed. No teenager wants to feel invisible in their own home.
Right.
But that often can happen so easily.
But we let it too.
Yeah.
I don't think, I talk to parents all the time, and here's what they say to me: I can't talk to my kid. I can't hug my kid. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Why can't they?
When did that stop? We have to make a decision to say to ourselves, okay, I'm going to let that happen. Because if our kids say, don't say I love you in front of my friends, it embarrasses me tough.
Mm-hmm.
Say it anyways. Say it more. But we say, okay. And then all of a sudden we look a couple months later and, wow, I can't touch my kid. I can't hug him. I can't anything. Because we allowed that to happen. We made that choice.
Mm-hmm.
So I suggest parents, you know what? Love your kids. Let them know you love them. Don't pull away. Stay involved, no matter what. If they don't like it, too bad. We're not their friends. We're their parents.
We're their parents.
And parents and kids are not not.
Be their parents now. Be their friends later.
Yeah,
Parents-
exactly. They have enough
kids are
friends,
not
don't they?
equal. Yeah.
They're not. We're not. Our kids are our kids. They're not our equals. Maybe one day when they have their own house and they invite us over for dinner, and we're in their home, it might be a little different. But until then, no. It's that's the way it is.
Cary, you know what happens during this hour.
I do.
Every single day.
I do. We've been on 17 minutes. What does that mean, Mike?
The CDC, the Center for Disease Control, tells us that every 19 minutes, someone in the U.S. dies from an accidental overdose. So during our 1 hour show, 3 people will die from an overdose.
So there you go. In 1.5 minutes, somebody would have definitely lost their life to just an accidental drug overdose.
Isn't that incredibly sad?
Yeah, that's not including suicides because of substance abuse, car crashes, reckless endangerment, and all the other stuff. That's just an accidental overdose that we know of.
Yeah, we've got, 44,000 of these happening a year. We've eclipsed traffic collisions
and gun violence.
And gun violence. And that brings us to our first action file item today. And this, Cary, I'm sure was absolutely no surprise to you. It was determined that Prince died of an overdose of a powerful painkiller described as a heroin on steroids. And we talked about it frequently here. Yeah. Fentanyl.
Yeah, it's no surprise but by the end of this show in 1 hour, 3 other people would have lost their lives the same way to a drug overdose. So, is Prince any different or more special than those people that are going to lose their lives? No. The only thing special about this overdose is we can use it as another teaching moment.
Yeah. Now,
not that it's not tragic and sad and terrible and all that stuff, but what about all these kids that are dying every day?
Exactly.
Nobody pays attention to that. It doesn't even make the news.
No, and isn't that sad?
Yeah, it's really sad.
And here's a little background on fentanyl, just so everybody won't look at it like, oh, that's terrible stuff. It was first introduced in the 1960s, and it was originally administered as an intravenous anesthetic. Nowadays, patients can get a fentanyl dosage by patches, injections, and even lozenges referred to as lollipops, which obviously isn't very medical. But it was originally used to help patients deal with chronic pain from late-stage cancer, which can be extremely painful, and it was also used as an anesthetic during heart surgery. So it had a good reason for being, but
it's up to 100 times stronger than heroin. Yeah. So just 10% more than you should take is death. It's just you shoot just a little bit, it's a tiny bit more than you should have, and you're dead.
And listen to this. Doctors have to undergo special training required by the Food and Drug Administration in order to even prescribe fentanyl. It's an addictive medicine.
And here's what's going on with we have a lot of bad heroin right now. I'm going to call it bad. The drug users might call it different because it's so potent, and what it is cut with fentanyl. So even the dealers don't know sometimes how much it's cut with and how much fentanyl are in there, and that's why a lot of people are losing their lives because they just don't know. They're going to shoot what they normally shoot, and it's just too much.
And we had an action file item here not too long ago about all those deaths that happened up in Sacramento, and what happened was the dealers thought, and the people that were buying thought they were buying Norco, and it came in a tablet form, and it turned out to be fentanyl, and several people died as a result of
they're
that.
bootleg Norcos, and they're putting fentanyl in there because they want it to be stronger, but people that are used to taking a little bit more than they should have are taking something that's it's just going to kill them. Period. End of subject.
Another action file item we have here, and this is going to actually bring us into a conversation we try to have at least once every show now. And here it is. All U.S. Navy sailors in Japan are banned from drinking alcohol and restricted to base except for essential trips after several recent alcohol-related incidents, which the Navy's 7th Fleet said are harming U.S.-Japan relations. Additionally, they said all off-base liberty is curtailed. The ban on alcohol will remain in effect indefinitely until commanders are comfortable that all personnel understand the impact of responsible behavior on the U.S.-Japan alliance and the United States' ability to provide security and stability in the Indo-Asia Pacific. Monday's orders come after a Saturday traffic accident on Okinawa, and we can change that from accident to collision.
Yes.
Right. On Okinawa, in which a U.S. Navy petty officer was accused of driving under the influence of alcohol, driving on the wrong side of the road, hit 2 cars, and injured 2 people, according to reports in Stars and Stripes and the Japan Times. And there have been several other incidents recently that have caused big problems. So that brings us to that thing we've been talking about, the interlock ignition device.
So
we're
on a mission, and our mission is to stop drunk driving. Period. Right now, bang, just like that. And we have a way to do that.
Yeah, it's not hard
It's
at all.
a real simple way to stop that. And how many people die in this country from alcohol-related car crashes?
Oh, it's just, unbelievable. It's absolutely.
How many people get arrested and go to jail and ruin their worlds and everything because of alcohol?
Yeah, and even more frightening than that, Cary, is how many people are driving under the influence out there. Remember, they did a survey recently, and this is how many people admitted it. So we know there's probably at least 1 million, if not more.
You guys can jump in anytime you want.
And that was 4 million people a month are admitting to driving under the influence of alcohol here in the United States. So look at all the people that are being killed out there. Look at all the lives that are being changed. And when somebody dies, look at all the impact on families.
We have a way to stop that.
We do.
Now, we don't have a way of stopping the driving under the influence of narcotics yet. But we do have a way of stopping the influence of alcohol.
And it's proven.
It's working right now. If somebody gets arrested for driving under the influence, they put in, I'll let you tell them exactly how it works.
Well, it's called an ignition interlock device, and it really boils down to being a breathalyzer. They put it in your car, and just in case you're wondering about this, it's been proven. In fact, it's being used. There are cities all across the nation that are piloting this. Los Angeles happens to be one. If you're convicted of driving under the influence, one of the things that you're going to have to do is have this ignition interlock device installed, and all you do is...
I actually know a couple people, because of my world, that have that in their cars now.
Yeah. And it's like you open the door, before you're able to put the key in the ignition, you puff into this, takes all of about 3 seconds. If you have not been drinking, if you are not over the legal limit, you can put your key in the car and start the ignition.
Now, if you had a beer, fine. If you had a margarita, fine. But if you drank too much, not fine. It won't let your car start.
You're going to get an alarm. It's going to record the fact that you're over the limit, and it's not going to let you start your car. And for anybody out there that's saying, hey, no big deal, I'll just get my friend who's not drunk to puff in it, and then I can start my car and drive anywhere I want to. Well, it will start your car that time, but when you're down the road and you stop again and it says, we need you to do it again, you're not going to be able to get your car started.
So you think that would stop drunk driving? You know why it would? Because they wouldn't be able to start the car.
They can't drive.
So that means if they came out of the factory, check this out, and everyone had one of those, you get in your car, you blow on the thing, and you start your car and you drive away. Who cares? But if you drank, you can't. That means all the people that are lost their lives or losing their lives from drunk driving won't. That means all the people that are making the mistakes and, well, I have one too, I can drive, and get arrested won't. I mean, that's pretty huge.
And the cost of these little devices is about $500, but they can install them in all the new cars that are going out. People can install them in their cars now, and they've already done research on this, and the cost to society would be paid back in just 3 years. And think of all the lives that would be saved. Oh, my goodness. So there we are.
So we're pushing this every week.
You know, we're not the U.S. Navy, so we can't say nobody can drink anymore, right? The U.S. Navy can get away with it.
They can get away with it. We can't, but what we can say is your car won't start. if you're drunk. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, I love it.
I don't know why it hasn't been done.
Yeah.
In order to save all these lives. And on that note, we're going to take a break. When we come back from break, we're going to get with Dan. And what are we going to do?
We're going to be talking about sexual abuse conference that's coming up. Very, very powerful, very, very important.
So we'll jump right into that when we come back from our break. This is Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.